Last week on the Poisonrana Patreon, we talked all about WWE Hall of Famer Paul Heyman in a brand new episode of Poison Profile.
Okay, so the Rise and Fall of ECW DVD has this like Easter egg where wrestlers would describe Paul Heyman's tactics during ECW on maybe ways to cut corners and save a few bucks, including Chris Jericho with this very funny story.
Airline said, well, you got your window seat and we're very sorry about your brother-in-law. Excuse me? We're very sorry about your brother-in-law that, your brother-in-law passed away. We're sorry about that. I'm like, my brother-in-law? What are you talking about? And they're like, well, your bereavement fare that you have. This jackass waited so long, he bought a bereavement fee, which is a plane fare that you buy when somebody passes away. You get a half-price ticket.
That kind of explains Paul Heyman, I guess, in a nutshell. Like, he cut the corners, but at the end of the day, it was...
Any kind of, like, table for three or any sort of WWE Network thing, they're always laughing about it. Like, all of them. Like, the Dudleys, Taz, Dreamer, Van Dam, Jericho, all of them are like, yeah, you didn't pay me.
Get this show plus NXT retro reviews, wrestling reviews, movie reviews, and so much more over at patreon.com/poisonrana. And it's only $5. So what are you waiting for?
What are you waiting for, huh? What are you waiting for?
First time in a long time, but back like I never left. Taking each day as it comes, you know me, I don't read ahead. Watch me burn down everything, BDE on the TV set. When I'm in control on the road, you could never really know what's up next.
The following edition of the upNXT podcast is dedicated to Come Tuesday. Hello. Braden Herrington here with Davie Portman for upNXT on the Post Wrestling podcast feed, postwrestling.com, and of course,
youtube.com/postwrestling. Hello, Postmarks.
Hello, Postmarks. Hello, NXT friends. We are here. We are live. It is Tuesday night. NXT Spring Breakin.
Yes.
Just went off the air. Spring Breakin night 1. So maybe if you're watching on the YouTube or the replay, we're in our finest spring break attire. Look at
and happy St. George's Day as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's St. George's Day?
We've been through this. Fuck. I can't just spend all my life repeating myself.
Is this the one that's the...
Well, I'll give you a clue. I'm wearing an England shirt. So put 1 and 2 together.
It's like St. Patrick's Day, but British.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're wearing your two birds, one stone.
Exactly.
Or
yeah.
2 stones, 1 bird.
Exactly.
We are dressed for Spring Breakin because it is Spring Breakin. Yes, NXT decides to do Spring Break a little later than most do in March, but they're doing 2 weeks of it. So we had a beach brawl. We're a couple of beach bums. So maybe next week we'll bust out the Hawaiian shirts again.
Absolutely.
For night 2.
I mean, I'm hoping we're getting to the weather where I'll just be wearing this all the time.
Yeah.
Now, not quite, not yet.
Yeah.
It's flirting. It's been flirting with us this April.
It's weird. It flirts in the middle of the day, and then by the end of the day, I'm like, "Wow, do I need my winter jacket?" It's almost like, yeah, it's crazy, but it's coming. It's coming, and Spring Breakin is here. So yes, we're wearing our Hawaiian shirts. We're hanging out. We're gonna chat all about some NXT here. We didn't do a show on Sunday because Sunday we were busy.
Well, we did do a show.
Oh yeah, we did do a little show. So go check that out if you want to hear our live after thoughts on the CN Tower climb where we saved the animals.
We did, yes. Thank you, everyone who donated. We finished the story. We raised, last year, I believe we raised about $1,700. This year, we hit $3,086. Wow. We had a bunch of last-minute donations. So thank you, everyone who donated, whether it was like $5 or as high as $250, as someone very generously did. You helped support us, and we're incredibly grateful. And I think, I'm really proud of what we raised.
Yes, absolutely. So thank you, everyone. And we all did it. We had our friends Sam and Jesse join, John, Way, yourself, and I, and we climbed those steps, we saved the pandas, and we got our t-shirt with it as well, which every year I just want to collect
a new t-shirt. Yeah.
WWF. So we are WWF champions here at Post Wrestling, and we saved the animals. So we did it, and we should be proud. You beat your time.
Yeah.
I beat my
You
time.
beat your
John
time.
Wade
Everyone
beat
beat
their
their time.
time. Yeah.
One-legged man beat Sam's time.
Yep. I still think it's cheating because he only has one leg, so it's like less half the work.
But yeah, I think we're all in again for next year.
Yeah.
We got to beat those times now.
Yeah, there's a like United Way one in September, but honestly, I'm more willing to help save the animals than the people because
animals are nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like, how would that even work? Like, take photos.
Well, how do you save the?
I mean, I know how to save people. It's cheaper fucking groceries.
I'm not explaining charities to you, bro.
So yeah, a year from now we'll do this yet again and save the animals. But we're good people here at Post Wrestling and Poison Rana. We've been doing a lot of podcasts. We didn't do one Sunday night though because AEW Dynasty, the pay-per-view, was on TV. So we actually spent our day post climbing, wandering around the city. We did a little bar hop. Pretty sure we ended up at a Hooters. Then a nice grotto.
Paradise Grotto,
it's
yeah.
a nice little,
really nice
little tiki bar or something. And then we ended up at home with some friends and some pizza, and we watched Dynasty. And maybe I thought we could go through it a little bit.
Absolutely.
Because obviously everyone's coming off this one talking about how great of a show it was, and that's usually the case when it comes to AEW pay-per-views. Like most times their pay-per-views are really well received and really entertaining and put on one hell of a pay-per-view and totally worth the money. And it was the exact same thing, if not and then some. I mean,
they've got the best roster in the world. Like
we're the best wrestle.
Ridiculous the roster they have, and when they're just put out there to here's 20 minutes, have a match, like they deliver. And wow, I mean, I thought there were so many great matches on this show. I think just starting with Ospreay and Danielson is probably one of the greatest matches I've ever seen.
Absolutely.
Definitely lived up to the hype and then some. I just thought that was phenomenal.
Yeah, definitely. We knew going into it, this dream match where we've been joking forever that we figured it would be the main event of All In last year, but that wasn't the case. And then we thought it'll be this year. It didn't look like that. And they just go, hey, St. Louis, you're getting it. And bless St. Louis because they were blessed with this awesome match. I mean, this is an all-timer, right? Like the second it ends where you're just like absolutely cooked. I remember we had our friends over, and as soon as it ends, we're all just like hands on our heads, like, oh my God, what did we just watch? And I mean, we were lucky enough to be at Ospreay Takeshita live, and that blew our minds. But this one even felt like it was like a next step up, right? So
there's just been so much anticipation for me for this match, like
for years.
Two of my absolute favorites, two of the best in the world, two of the best of all time, in my opinion. And just like sometimes you worry because chemistry is such a thing in wrestling as well, and sometimes you think like a certain pair will be great together, and it doesn't work. And other times the other way round happens where you don't expect much and people just click. But boy, did these two click. And I just thought, some of the sequences, like how they both scouted, like clearly been doing their homework on each other. Like there was that sequence quite early on with the like fast kicks and the ducking and all that, but just leading to the final like Tiger Driver Stormbreaker 93 or whatever he calls it, Storm Driver. The selling from Danielson on it, like he's
seizure, Brian
leading to the finish. I just thought it was just an incredible match.
Honestly, I think it has to be both of their best matches. Like it beats most of the stuff I've seen, and we've been lucky enough to be at Ospreay a lot of his matches. Same with Danielson, but wow, like their chemistry was off the charts. This was legit.
Is Dave going 7 on this? I think so.
I just go, we like to get nerdy and go in our rating system stuff, but like apples and oranges to different people's, but holy crap, like what a match. And like the second it's over, like not disrespecting the rest of that card, because there was 2 matches that followed that were pretty fucking awesome as well that we'll talk about. But I couldn't stop thinking about the last match where I'm like, I just want to rewatch it, which I saw you were kind of rewatching, and then I was getting into it, but we had to put NXT on.
Yeah, I need to throw it on properly. I think I was kind of doing a bit of work and put it on again.
It was like earlier in this month. It's like, Ospreay, here you go. Just take the match of the year candidate, the award already for this year when we saw the Takeshita match. And then this year it's like, wait a second, actually, we're just going to move that over back to you. So match of the year contenders for 2024 is going to be in two different categories, where one is Will Ospreay matches and the rest is everybody else, because it's just not fair to everybody else, because this guy is incredible. This guy is so entertaining to watch. And something that I did not see happening was his character coming across like even better. And I'm not talking about Don Callis thing. I'm cutting that up right there. I'm talking about how all these Americans love to chant bruv. It's basically the British what chant now. Yeah. Right. And that's his, because they didn't really have a big British star in the last little while since him, to be completely like, he's claiming bruv, which is like, wow, really? No wrestler's really done that yet. I just think he's clicking in like everything. And by All In, he's probably winning that championship in Wembley.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, if we're talking long term, I could totally see like Ospreay taking the title from Swerve, which dynamics are kind of weird with that one, because Swerve is also very hot right now and just been crowned like very deservingly like the first black AEW champion. It kind of feels weird, like you'd kind of want Ospreay to maybe take from a big heel going into it, because I think Swerve will still be very popular come August. But who knows where we'll go? Maybe it goes elsewhere. But yeah, I do see Ospreay holding this title, and I would have him drop it to Okada next year. And you've got all the history with them. I think Okada should just keep this Continental title until he challenges for the world title and just unifies them, because we got too many titles. Yeah. But I like the idea of just, Okada immediately being strapped with gold, and he can have a bit of a Gunther-esque reign with this secondary title and then just move up and unify the two. You've got all that history with Ospreay and Okada that I think comes sort of next year, when I think enough time has gone between their last match where you can revisit that as well.
Yeah, I don't think we need to rush to get to that anytime soon, but it is kind of like, damn, where do we go with Ospreay after putting on one of the most talked about matches going like after this pay-per-view? You'd imagine he is slotted in, but you could easily wait to use him next year to win the title at Wembley, right? Like let that stretch out. He's got 3 years in this company, so you could easily let that kind of bleed a little. Honestly, get him away from the Don Callis family is probably the next step, because you could have him feud with them, this and that. But then being on his own, I think, is exactly what he needs. I'm really enjoying the babyface character, because the guy wrestles like he's. I think I've said it after watching the Takeshita one, and I really mean it after watching this one. He wrestles like a gladiator, even the pose with Danielson, where he's like they run at each other, which we'll see a match tonight on NXT that had a very similar finish in the pose off, but. Like this guy fights like it's like the rent is due, right? Like this guy wrestles like every match could be like either the guy he's facing or his last match, and there's something special about him for sure. So this pay-per-view was awesome, specifically that match. Like it's going to be a tough one to beat. I mean, even the if you're a cage match rating kind of person, like it's very high on the list.
It's like 10th or 11th of best matches, highest rated US match of all time. Sensational. But I love the rest of the card as well. I thought Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly was really strong. Just both guys reminding us exactly what they're capable of. Kyle O'Reilly, who, he's been injured for the best part of the last 2 years, and kind of reminding us why he's one of the best in the world in ring as well. I really enjoyed that match. I thought Okada Pac was a pretty fun opener. But I really enjoyed the ladder match as well. And I'm kind of jaded when it comes to ladder matches. Obviously, these are two of the best tag teams in the world going at it once again. But what I loved with this ladder match, and it sounds dumb thing to say, but both teams were trying to win the whole time. I don't think, and I might need to rewatch, I don't think there was any of the, slowly and climbing rung at a time. They were running up the ladder. Like Nick Jackson would be, oh, no one's in the ring, I'm running up the ladder. And that's kind of more believable to me. And I thought they worked it at such a great pace.
That's such an FTR thing, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, but sorry to go back to the CN Tower, but it's fucking exhausting. But then you see there's, 3 floors left and you power up and you try and push through it. Like in real life, even if you're exhausted, you see everyone's out of the ring and there's a ladder and all you got to do is climb up 10 steps to reach it. You're not slowly climbing up the ladder. And I thought it made all the spots like make sense. Like Cash Wheeler's suicide dive through the table on the outside. It made sense because he was like, oh, there's a young buck still alive. I got to take him out to like clear the way. I thought all the spots, it wasn't any of this hokey shit that we've seen so much in the last decade, which is, shall I grab the title or shall I do a swanton through a table on the outside? Like everything made complete sense for it. And I think just proving why these two teams are two of the best there are. Like this definitely topped their all-in match for me, where the chemistry was just, it was technically good, but there was just something off. And obviously we know everything going on that day, but
the footage affected
exactly
the fight affected.
But you could kind of feel that, I thought. Even the sort of interviews leading into it, the Bucks felt checked out and everything. Whereas I thought this was really strong and had the like hardest job on this whole pay-per-view of following Ospreay Danielson.
Yeah.
And I thought it was very smart booking, putting that two there, because if there are 4 people who could overcome that, it is the Bucks and FTR.
It helped that it had the stipulation because they're like, using weapons and tables and ladders and stuff. But then also the talent between the 4 of them. Like I still think their first encounter, or I don't even know how many encounters now that they've had. There's a real good one. It might just be the first one.
The first one was when it was still kind of empty, pandemic, and it was a very much like tributes to like tag teams, like they were doing Hardy Boys, Edge and Christian, good. Dudley Boys spots, and it ended with Cash missing the 450,
right?
Which I think they then call back in the second match,
which they win with, or something like that, or something like that. But I liked all their matches so far. I think we won't see them face off for quite a little while, but there's one more out there that we'll get to, whether it's a year or 2, or maybe if certain FTR leave AEW, maybe we'll never see this match ever again. But I still thought that was great. And then, of course, something that we saw coming, but I think a lot of people, is the scapegoat. But something is, how would he do it? Would he just run out and shove him off? Or would he do one of the most slickest moves I've ever seen? Because watching it on pay-per-view, live on TV, I thought it was very well executed. For a second there, you think, wait, what's going on? And then you go, wait a second, it's got to be so-and-so. And then the close-up on Jack Perry's face when the mask is taken off, and then the security guard, I forget that guy's name, but he's the OG of AEW security. He's just like, oh, it's you. Well, I guess I gotta like let you go, kind of thing, which I thought was even greater. But have you seen this fan video that's come out where someone right away goes, this guy looks suspicious? So while the match is going on, he walks through the entire crowd with a cup of popcorn, eating popcorn, wearing the Sting mask, walking through. All he does is walk up, and you see people like look at him and then go, nah. And then like, the airport test, right? And then he walks right up to the front and then just throws the popcorn, jumps the barricade, and everybody around him is like, yo, security, get this kid, get this kid. It looks even more real when you watch it through that clip. But I love that angle. And I mean, I wasn't someone who was for them showing the footage on Dynamite, especially the way that they did. I think maybe months ago, we've gone into it, maybe months ago would have been a better thing, blah, blah, blah. But the reaction Jack Perry got after the reveal maybe showed that it did work. It
did. Yeah, I think it helped. We saw in the Windy City Riot as well, the reactions Perry was getting. I think it somewhat did work. I think, it's going to add to the tribalism either way, right? People that don't like AEW are going to think it's the death of the company, and it really isn't. But I do think it enhanced Jack Perry's reactions.
Yeah, almost like they're not even booing him, which is what he was expecting. But like also like they're like, we want to support them. But the new elite, Okada, Jack Perry, and the Young Bucks. Yeah,
I like it.
Hell yeah,
I like it.
As heels, I really like that. But the rest of the pay-per-view was great. Obviously, Swerve finally winning the world title is a huge, huge moment. I thought the match was great as well with Swerve. There was a few moments I was like, oh, maybe Joe is just retaining here. So they did kind of suspend my disbelief a little bit there. But in the end, him hitting the stomp and everything, it was a pretty good feel-good moment. And I think he definitely deserves it from the past year alone of his career. But for a guy we've kind of followed, not just here in NXT, but like through before that, I think the Lucha Underground, I noticed his gear had the Kill Shot logo on it and everything, different elements and stuff, but it's just awesome. And then kind of how you mentioned too, like their first Black world champion, which is also fucking awesome and great. So just hats off to Swerve.
Yeah, and like hats off to Samoa Joe as well, who, you know, I think there was a period, I think back to like the Karrion Kross match and stuff where you're going, oh, are you kind of past it?
Put the poncho back on, Joe.
And even some of the early AEW matches where I was like, oh, I'm not sure. And then I think it was really from the like Darby
when
feud.
he murdered Darby.
Yeah, and then you're like, okay, Joe's still got stuff in the tank.
Hell yeah.
And I think a kind of champion that maybe wasn't expected but like earned. And I thought it had a great run with this, leading to putting Swerve over. So yeah, I think it was a much needed great pay-per-view from AEW, which, you know, resets the deck once again. And let's hope this next pay-per-view cycle leading up to Double or Nothing, we can have some better TV. I'm hoping for.
Yeah, that still seems to be their issue. And looking like ahead, like in today's, you know, internet wrestling world, WrestleTix and stuff, you can see like they still are struggling with getting like the bigger audiences that they once were drawing at live shows, but that still might take time. And there's other things that maybe they need to change too, right? Maybe it's not just some of the on-screen stuff. Maybe it's some behind-the-scenes stuff. Maybe it's promotion. Maybe it's this or that, right? Like
not running Vegas on one of the most expensive weekends of the year.
Is it like selling well for that show?
No, it's not selling great. No,
yeah.
But it's Memorial Day weekend, so like everything is like 3 times the price.
Right.
You go the weekend before, weekend after, hotels would be cheaper, flights would be cheaper.
Right.
Whereas like I look, will I go to Double or Nothing? No.
Vegas is pretty cheap to go, but that weekend
from here it can be pretty decent to get to Vegas, but that weekend it's just no. But traditions. Think still, you're a 5-year-old company. You don't need traditions at this point.
That tradition, you need to keep.
Oh, but it's Vegas. Cool. There's a casino in a lot of other states, a lot of other cities.
Do another show like on a cruise ship or on a beach for real. I know we're talking about beach brawls today, but like go, you know, think outside the box a little bit in that way. And just something I noticed from like, you know, we have listeners and friends in all sorts of different markets who go to wrestling shows and all across the world. And especially through some of these shows that they're doing in the States, like I just think promotion is something that they seem to lack of. You can't just announce something on Tony Khan's Twitter account and think like that's just gonna like what sells tickets. Because I know AEW definitely caters towards the more of the like smarter inside fans and stuff like that. But you still could attract other people to go, oh, it's $20 to go to wrestling. Yeah, right. Yeah. But sometimes it's not $20 to go to these shows. So it's like there's some things to do. But that pay-per-view was definitely awesome. And I hope that their TV going forward like is good and coming off something that hot. Like you can't expect Will Ospreay to go out there and kill his body every Wednesday night, but it is going to be part of the draw. Like, oh, well, if he's wrestling in town, like we got to go see that show kind of thing. So he's become a draw, but really love that show and hoping that the TV is going good in the next few weeks. What else is there to talk about before NXT? Because I feel like even though we're not drinking right now, well, we have water. I think we need to pour one out.
We do need to pour one out. We had some roster cuts in the last few days. Shout out, you know, the likes of former WWE champion Jinder Mahal.
He got gindered.
Yeah.
He got hindered.
The $1 Million Arm, Veer. Nice Man Sanger.
Wait, Veer was the guy, the movie Disney
$1 Million Arm, yeah.
Right, and Veer was also the one that was always coming.
Yeah, Veer was also coming.
He
as
came
was
and
Von
went.
Wagner.
So Veer came and went.
Yeah, he came and went. Von Wagner ain't coming on Tuesday anymore. Zion Quinn, you can run it straight out of here, man. And Xia Li can reform Xia Leah, the team we always wanted. We never really got. Xia Leah can happen in a federation near you.
That's right.
And then Cameron Grimes posts a video this morning, completely naked, telling us he's been fired. So pour one out. It was nice knowing you. We look forward to see what happens next.
For the record, I wasn't laughing at this guy being released. I was laughing at you still thinking about run it straight out of here because I fucking hated that guy. Oh, man. Man. Like, just out of all the past years, like, he just never, should I learn how to wrestle? Nah. He didn't cross his mind. He didn't never learn how to wrestle. I'm not laughing at these people losing their jobs. In fact, I'm quite upset because if you listen to Up Next every week, you know how much we love Von Wagner. And come Tuesday will never be quite the same. I mean, you know what? I said off the top that, you know, we gotta let come Tuesday go, but I don't think we gotta keep it going in honor of Von, that every Tuesday will be come Tuesday. But Von Wagner being released, they tried many times with him on NXT. We know we're some of the few that watch NXT every week still. And as much as they finally beat us into submission of enjoying him work, and he never got to a level of a lot of the other people surrounding him.
I think you could pretty much say that about this entire field of people who've been released. I would take Cameron Grimes out of that, but I think everyone else, Von definitely improved on the entertainment side of things. Wrestling, it was what it was and never really improved. Zion Quinn, we saw no improvements from, in my opinion. Sanger and Veer, I think Sanger had more upside, I thought. And just turning them to generic, foreign monsters, I don't think it worked in 2023, 2024. I think when he was being, Ulyssa Leon and Valentina Feroz, just like big, giant friend, I thought he was so much more interesting. Veer, I always found it amazing that they didn't tap into the $1 Million Arm story, because it's an incredible story. And he's a real celebrity out there. So
John Hamm plays him in the movie, right?
Not quite.
No. That's crazy. They never really mentioned that.
Yeah.
A whole lot. And
no, not at all. So, but again, the two never really showed a great deal of improvement. And Jinder, it's he's had his moments. He had a great moment with The Rock quite recently, but I don't think when you're looking at a Bron Breakker, a Carmelo Hayes, and Ilja Dragunov, you've got Roxanne and Lyra and Fallon waiting in the wings to be moved up. You've got all these talents that you can try and pull the trigger on. You don't need a Jinder Mahal taking up a space. And it's unfortunate, it's sad when people lose their jobs, but I think with all of these, it's time to okay, let's see how much you care about it. Could you be another Drew? Go out and completely change opinions and come back and be hey, look what you missed out on. Cody Rhodes even, but of the firings, I'd say Cameron Grimes is the one where I think it was all good. I thought his gimmick, the To the Moon, country millionaire thing, really connected in NXT, and they never gave it a shot in the main roster. And his wrestling's awesome.
I've said this a few times on some certain angles and or gimmicks in NXT that I think if you were to do on the main roster would have hit completely. Said the same thing about Santos Escobar when he came into NXT in the Cruiserweight division. He came under the mask as the Phantom, son of the Phantom, and it turned out to be all a ruse to be a heel win the title. I was like, man, if you did that story now on the main roster and that's how you brought him in, that would be such a cool people would totally attach to that. The same with Cameron Grimes in NXT when the stonks, when the stocks and all that shit to the moon and everything, he, for some reason, they allowed him to tap into some real aspect of his life where he joked around saying, actually invested in GameStop and I actually won a lot of money. And now I'm wrestling for WWE and I have money. They made that a storyline. Was it stupid and silly? Yeah, but eventually got him so over with the crowd. And then they did, the LA Knight Butler gimmick. He only helped LA Knight.
Yeah, I mean, I think all of his feuds in NXT, and it shows how talented the guy is. I've said the same with Cody, for all the ridiculous gimmicks he had, the face protector, the mustache, the Stardust, he always excelled in those roles. And you could see he's he's got potential for greater than that. But you could just be embarrassed and like half-assedly play these things, or you can fully commit. And Cameron Grimes always got laughs out of us. And in some of the worst times in NXT, the 2.0 era, you know, he made that poker feud with Duke Hudson better than it had any right of to be.
Yeah.
The LA Knight $1 Million Man feud was really entertaining.
Remember that. The $1 Million Man was like managing him in NXT. It's crazy.
And you just think, you give this guy anything, he's going to make it work. Unfortunately, he's been a bit of a job guy when you rarely see him on SmackDown. But they teased that thing once with him and like the Good Brothers, and thinking him being like part of the OC as mini AJ Styles would have been great, and a great way to have him be AJ's protege and bring him up that way. And eventually, hopefully, you elevate him to a point where you can have those two feud together.
He's a fantastic worker.
I think there was definitely missed opportunities with Cameron Grimes, and he's the one. It's sad to see go, but it's also just sad to see him go out there and get speared by Bron Breakker and disappear again. So I think, you know, he's someone, pardon the pun, but the sky's the limit, and he could go
no.
to the moon.
To the moon.
Yeah, exactly.
He's so. I was a huge fan of Trevor Lee before WWE, because AEW's pretty much took PWG and Chikara and rolled it into different indies and made their show. He was like an OG back in the day, and he's been wrestling at such a young age that the video he put out today, you know, crying shirtless, I think he was wearing pants, where he mentioned like the last conversation he had with his dad before he died was like, hey, I signed with WWE, and like today I'm being released from it. So like now a fire is lit from under my ass. Like, yeah, go and remind people, because a lot of people quit WWE and then make like a pretty good living off of like, you know, doing stuff. But before going to WWE, I always thought like, man, your matches were fucking killer on some of these indie shows. He was a regular in some of the circuits up here as well. And I know coming up like the North Carolina, him and Andrew Everett could get back together, make a tag team. But like, honestly, I think just by himself, Trevor Lee, he could use the to the moon stuff. He could do all the funny stuff. But when it comes to wrestling, he'll be fine when it comes to that, because like he's definitely
got
something
out of this crop, like the most sought after, I would think.
Yeah.
AEW is incredibly bloated, but there are other options as well. You know, New Japan are lacking talent right now, in my opinion, and he's someone that
in the junior division.
Exactly, yeah. Like mix it up with Hiromu and the likes over there could be.
It's interesting. Kofi's definitely one of the big main WWE people to have praised Trevor Lee, and actually he was like, yeah, I took a lot of these moves from him, where other wrestlers don't usually tell you that they're going to steal your moves, but people have been like, yo, Trevor Lee, like, help me come up with these things. So I'm interested to see where he goes. Look, Jinder was someone they always could like throw to help try to get like a baby face over. And I guess I don't know if this is a relation to, hey, Seth got really hurt in that match and that kind of sucked. And knowing what Seth has been through this past WrestleMania, maybe they're like, maybe Jinder's just not worth the hinder here. So they cut him. But it's interesting that they cut him at the same time as Sanga and Veer, because they've kind of been vocal on social media talking about like the WWE India side of things, like the social media and the numbers and stuff like that. Because whenever they get their stuff, like people seem to be like still watching it and viewed. So maybe they hit up Jeff Jarrett, talk with
Rinka King,
Global Force. There's always wrestling to be had.
I mean, they're the kind of act I totally see showing up in TNA.
Yeah,
you know, and in this year, I don't see AEW or whatever for them. Von Wagner's someone. How much does he want this? Will we see Von Wagner kind of hit the indies and all that?
I want Von Beverly.
Yeah,
wasn't that his dad was the Beverly brother, right?
Bo
Beverly.
Bo.
So Von Beverly coming soon.
Beverly.
That's what they should have just last Hail Mary right before he like got released. They're like, fuck it, you're changing. Robert Stone and him go through a whole wardrobe makeup and he changes, and you know, maybe it would have worked.
I do want to see him, you know, breaking out of prison and then turning to the camera, Von but not forgotten, come Tuesday.
Wow. Yeah. And then shows up on a
and Xia Li, I think, is someone who I saw a bit of a higher ceiling for in WWE. I think, you know, the background, they don't have any other like Chinese wrestlers really in the company, or like women's wrestlers,
Yeah.
and like a legit background. I thought her whole entrance and the whole kind of sort of the cartoon stuff they did with her was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But again, maybe just didn't improve that much in that time. But the problem is with her, it's going to be a visa issue now. Like trying to get work in some of these other companies, you'll need someone to sort of snap her up to get a visa. But I definitely think there's women's divisions around the country that could do with some more talent as well. So
Sure.
yeah.
I always thought like there was something missing where like I think she had the look down and like some of the real background and the kicks and stuff. She has injured people with some of these kicks, but not, I still think there was something that they could have done with her, but maybe if like you said, depending how much they really do enjoy wrestling, will they try to go elsewhere and try to continue doing this kind of thing? But yeah. And then there's Ion Quinn, who I again, like looks the part. He's jacked, he's got tattoos, but then like done absolutely nothing in every TV appearance that we've seen him in. Just sucked. To be
Charisma
frank.
vacuum.
Yeah,
wasn't
just
he, really?
like, oh my God. And it's like, I don't care how good looking someone is. He couldn't take a bump, it seems. So I don't see him wrestling anywhere except maybe like getting squashed really quickly on certain dark shows or something. But yeah, there you go. WWE releases.
Pour one out.
Pour many out. But Vaughn, man.
Yeah, I thought I caught Raw as well last night. Did you see any of
I didn't check it out like I have been on the road to WrestleMania, but I kind of saw what happened.
Yeah, like I think the big takeaways for me were like the Imperium kind of kicking Vinci out the group, it seems. But Gunther kind of saying he's going to win. Gunther was kind of implying that the winner of King of the Ring this year gets a title shot down the line, which I like. Like it should have stakes to it.
So they used to have.
And yeah, I kind of like how this Raw set up a lot of people who are wanting to be in King of the Ring. I think King Gunther definitely has a ring to it.
King Gunther v. Cody at Bash in Berlin. Like that's definitely that's definitely where a lot of people see it going. It would make a lot of sense, and you'd almost buy that there could be a title change.
But yeah, I think like Drew and Sheamus, I believe, are entering as well. Gable, I believe, is entering. So I think they're doing a good job to start building this King of the Ring this time round. So I'm looking forward to that. I worry a little bit for Vinci. I'm a big Giovanni Vinci fan, but he's someone where I feel, I think Ludwig Kaiser will do okay.
Wait, did they fully kick him out?
I mean, they booted him in the head.
Right.
Against steel stairs, like it feels like they're
gone.
Yeah,
That's
or like
weird.
for a while, yeah. Whereas Kaiser then comes backstage and Gunther's like smiling, so like it feels like those two are still together. But
Gunther's probably like, I don't really need a tag team. Vinci, what do you do for me? I wrestle really good. I wrestle pretty good.
Yeah.
Kaiser, what do you do for me? Duh! You're staying with me, kid. I don't know how many times I watched the compilations of that guy going, duh. So yeah, hopefully he's not going anywhere.
You also had Becky winning the women's title. I think it felt very John Moxley / Okada. Like, someone's injured. Okay, reset.
Yeah.
Okada, you're a champ. Mox, cancel that fishing trip. You're the champ. It felt like that with Becky. I think it kind of makes sense because I think Liv winning it should be a bigger moment to set up the Rhea return. So
yeah, I think that it does suck. Like Rhea definitively beat Becky and then now got injured by Liv and then Becky wins the title so that Liv can be this like weird heel character. I don't like it. I can't get behind a big matchup like I would a Becky or a Rhea or a Bianca or some of the other stars. When it comes down to it, I still can't. It comes a little to the Raw stuff that I don't like, where to be fair, she's gotten a lot better, Liv, but still like not quite at some of the level of like I think some of the better stars. So I think that's why they maybe pivoted, because I think there's a better story with Liv. If she injured Rhea, you could keep going with that story that she's gonna, injure people.
Well, I think Liv's now teasing stuff with Dom as well. I do think Liv gets her win over Becky.
She will,
who she's never beaten, and I think then it will feel more Il Fillmore earned her being champion than just winning in a battle royal. And that's why I think it kind of does make sense to just put it on Becky at this point. And I do think Liv's improved a lot in the last year, like since coming back and stuff. So it's a natural story to tell. Both injured each other, essentially, same injury, which is really weird.
Okay.
Like Rhea, like legit injured Liv's shoulder to take her out, and then Liv came back and the same thing happened.
Wow.
So it's kind of weird that way. So I think it's sort of falling in their laps, but I don't know how long Rhea will be out. But yeah, Becky's your champ again.
But then, like as we're talking, like next week is the start of this draft, and by the looks of things, I mean, is like new titles and this and that. Like maybe they're gonna try with Triple H's era to make SmackDown and Raw stand out a bit more. They say that every year, but like legit now that there's things changed.
I feel they've been stricter with it in
Yeah.
the last while than they have
Like,
before.
Obviously, Mania, no one's going to complain when you go, hey, The Rock's on Raw and
No,
SmackDown.
of course.
But,
Like there are times
yeah.
where it's like you almost should be like between Monday and April.
Yeah.
It's a free for all anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think getting rid of the SmackDown and Raw labels for all the titles makes sense.
I hated those titles.
Yeah.
The penny titles.
Now you can move them around and it doesn't matter. I do like the new, like the throwback tag titles. Look pretty nice.
Not too hot on the what are the I don't remember the different names right off the top of my head,
I
but
think it's the world tag titles.
they
are
kind of
the
look like
round
the
ones.
Seth title, right?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, don't really fancy those ones that much, but the ones they showed on SmackDown that looked like the retro tag team titles, but like modernized, like those are hot. Those are sick.
Yeah,
So,
they're really
like,
nice.
So definitely looking forward to seeing like different tag teams and everything. Again, this is like the WrestleMania was the reset, and now we're going to the draft. Like, okay, we've done this for every year where it doesn't matter because they don't follow their own rules. But now it does seem like they have some ideas.
I think Triple H might take a bit more care over it, so I'm intrigued to see what his draft will look like.
I mean, that's because like we're talking about like, oh, Becky won the title. Who's she going to feud with? Like, well, they could just put a bunch of people on Raw. You could put Tiffany on Raw. You could put all these other people to tie things around. And I think it could be interesting. On tonight's episode of NXT, they really were pushing that like, hey, if you suck, you could be drafted back to NXT.
Yeah.
And Corbin's like, hey, is that what happened to me? Is that why I'm here?
Yeah.
Fuck. I think it's pretty cool that they're doing this. And even for like WrestleMania saw so many of the like fans that are like, don't watch wrestling, but are like, it's The Rock. I'm going to see what's going on. What's going on? There's like the Raw and SmackDown. Oh, that's still a thing. Oh, they're doing the draft. They're separating things. Like it does feel like, again, a reset of everything. So I feel like we could get some good stuff going. Like the Backlash show already, Cody and AJ, like never happened before, right? It's a first time matchup. So that's awesome. And it's on at 1 p.m. in the day or something like that.
It's like 1 or 2, something like that. I have to look at Ticketmaster to get the times. But, I don't think they've announced yet on the.
Really? Isn't it like 2 weeks?
It's soon, yeah. And actually, we are hosting a little watch party again.
Yeah, this is a little last minute, but for any Toronto people out there, or people wanting to visit GTA area, we are gonna throw a Backlash brunch.
Yes,
at Gabby's on King Street in Toronto.
1 p.m. Eastern, apparently.
1 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah.
So tell me, are you pushing for French dips?
I'm trying to think what
count?
French food we can get. Some
French
croque monsieur.
What's like the French drink? The
French martinis.
French martinis.
They're pretty nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
French martinis and French dips all day.
Okay.
Book it. So Backlash during the day sounds great.
Yeah.
So already like wrestling during the afternoon, because even if we do have work later that night, which we probably both
I'll be working at Gabby's.
Yeah. So
after.
it's like, that'll be a long day at Gabby's,
Yeah.
but it'll like pretty cool. So yeah, in Toronto, we haven't put this up yet, but if you are interested, please shoot us a message, because we will be putting up a link in the near
I'm
future.
going to be putting tickets on sale tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I'll be putting all of the ticket info on our socials.
It'll be like $10, and we're gonna play some games and some stuff and hang out with BDE in Toronto for some Backlash. But yeah, wrestling's cool again, as everyone keeps saying, and the more people keep saying that, I'm like, shut up, don't jinx it, don't ruin it.
We have gone long, but some quick plugs before we get into NXT. We are we've just put out last week. You might have heard the commercial at the beginning of the show. Our latest episode of Poison Profile, where we dive deep into the career of the latest inductee of the WWE Hall of Fame, the wise man, Paul Heyman.
Oh, yeah. We got very extreme, and we proved we are, in fact, Paul Heyman, guys. You created this whole timeline of his entire career and everything he's ever done in the world of wrestling, all from when he was a teenager to his Hall of Fame speech. And we dissect everything from ECW to Brock Lesnar to Curtis Axel and beyond. And we even got some clips in there and some behind the scenes stories and some funny stories. And I definitely got to pat ourselves on the back for this one. This has become a bit of a fun show. This was our third ever Poison Profile. And out on the Patreon, you can also look at our Von Erich profile and our Nation of Domination. But this Paul Heyman one, if you're a Paul Heyman fan, like, definitely check it out. And would love some feedback, because some feedback we've gotten already have been very, very nice. So thank you.
And then this week, we're recording our latest episode of Up Yours, where a world champion family member, Jake from the Windy City, has picked the first 3 episodes of Friends. Friends. It is actually the 30th anniversary of Friends, I believe, this year. Oh,
wow. Okay.
Airing first in 1994. So
wow.
Good time to kind of talk about it. I think also just a kind of a broader conversation of comedy and, you know, how comedy's evolved in our lifetime and that sort of thing.
Yes. The Poisonrana Patreon is all over the place as we pivot from wrestling to Friends. So yes, what other wrestling podcast out there reviews Friends, right? Yeah. Just ridiculous, but I also love it. We've got some crazy picks in the past and upcoming from world champ family members. So Jake, Friends is a divider, though. Friends definitely, can divide the room of people are like, oh, I hated it.
It's fucking tribalism. Like, for some reason, and I've never watched Seinfeld, but people feel the need to tell you, oh, I prefer Seinfeld. It's like, okay, like, you can like 2 things. It's okay. I hate WWE. I just like AEW.
I loved Friends because I grew up watching it as it was on TV, but I people always get like, oh, is it my favorite show ever? No, but
people get weirdly angry about it for reasons.
Oh, it's like that one time in Friends, Seinfeld is better. Like you said, it's like, oh,
okay, all right.
I'm excited to. I actually don't like season 1 of Friends. I think we were kind of saying off air, like, every TV show that ends up being successful and has its fan base, the first season is always kind of wishy-washy because they're trying to sort things out.
Finding its feet, and
it's like Homer Simpson, right? Like
his voice is lower.
He's a bit of a dick.
Smithers is black. Like, it's weird.
So then they go, oh wait, this got to go here and this and everything. Like, I work at a retro TV channel where we place a lot of sitcoms, and it's every show I watch. Season 1, it's kind of like, is this a pilot? Are we getting canceled right away? And then season 2 and 3 are okay.
They realize, this character actually works way better with this character, and this character's better being goofy than mean, and that sort of thing. It's interesting. But yeah, you can find this show and hundreds more on our Patreon, patreon.com/Poisonrana for only $5. Could that deal be any better? There we go.
Rip.
Yeah.
Matthew Perry. Yes, lots and lots of podcasts out there, wrestling reviews and all our stuff from Philly and so much more. So give us a shot. It's only $5 and you get a whole month's access for those long car rides, those lonely showers, those stoner sessions. Whenever you need the podcast, we are there for you. And appreciate anyone who has signed up in the past while. I saw some new people, some new names pop up. So really appreciate you. And hey, while we're plugging chop-tees.com to get your hands on some Poisonrana merch, shout out all the Poisonrana hat wearers, the snapbackers, and the t-shirts and the hoodies. Hoodie season is going to be winding down, which means we're going to have to eventually get some spring.
Unless you're in Australia, in which case buy a hoodie.
Summer's flipped there, right?
Yeah,
that's
right. Reverse, backwards.
So go support us and get your own Poisonrana merch there at chop-tees.com, and shipping is free pretty much everywhere in the world.
There are people who really want us to be talking about Trick Williams winning the title, and we're just talking about Chandler Bing and
Chandler Bong.
Well,
what's that Bing?
Shall we get into it?
Yes, let's talk about some NXT.
NXT Spring Breakin 2024 Week 1 live from the Performance Center, the Capital Wrestling Center. And we start with Ava, don't call her Rain, chatting to Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis, who seemed to have our internet connection this week.
Nick, you couldn't even show up for the segment that was probably like, hey, should we do this? Do I need to be there?
Nah.
Not really. Okay, cool. I'll zoom it in. And he was just like
out of sync.
And you could tell Pierce was just like, yep,
whatever.
All right.
So they're congratulating Ava on the roster she's built, and she says that it's not just about the draft and moving people up, but it's also about reshaping NXT, and the future of NXT will never look the same. But both Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis have their eyes on the main event tonight. I thought they did a great job this whole episode of trying to make this main event feel as important as possible. You had lots of kind of former NXT talent there, and just sort of every other segment seemed to be something to do with Trick versus Ilja.
Yeah, they kept reminding you that, hey, tonight was Trick v. Ilja, and having former NXT talent, whether they were like from kind of years prior or classes prior, or like people who were friends with Trick.
Yeah. And we open with a triple threat match for the NXT Women's Championship. Roxanne Perez defending against Lyra Valkyria and Tatum Paxley. This is coming off of Tatum turning on Lyra, Roxanne, injuring Lyra and therefore winning her title, and kind of all coming together quite nicely in this triple threat. Lyra goes after Tatum immediately as Roxanne just sits in the ropes and is watching on, just laughing. Lyra hits a beautiful Northern Light suplex for a pin attempt, which Roxanne breaks up. And then as Lyra's climbing the turnbuckle, Roxanne dumps her off to the floor and then hits a high cross to Paxley, which is rolled through for a 2 count. Paxley then grabs Rox and throws her out the ring into a tope suicida onto Lyra, which looked pretty good. We come from the break and they're hitting the Tower of Doom spot. There's a Fisherman Buster from Lyra to Tatum, which Rox breaks up the pin again. And then Rox drops Lyra into the crossface, but Tatum applies a crossface of her own, but gets rolled back into a pin attempt from Perez. And then Perez hits a side Russian leg sweep DDT combo to both Valkyria and Paxley, and then hits almost like the eat to feet, the soul food to Paxley for a 2 count. There's then a nice back and forth between Roxanne and Lyra. Rox goes for the pop Rox, but gets popped out of it and gets hit like right into the big spin kick from Valkyria. And then Paxley hits a kind of pump handle driver to Lyra, followed by a 450 splash, which looked really nice.
Yeah.
And goes for the pin, but this is where Rox runs in and hits a jackknife cover on Tatum Paxley for the win and defends her title.
You know what? I thought Tatum Paxley, I guess, had a lot to prove here, because she was like the odd woman out in, well, these two have already had the pay-per-view match against each other. And Tatum's been the new resident crazy girl gimmick, and she really put on her wrestling boots, I thought, in this match. She came in here doing some of these crazy spots, all three of them at the same time, doing some of those like moves where they're hitting each other at different moves at the same time. The Russian leg sweep thing was pretty cool. But yeah, Tatum at the end with like that sprint of all these moves where you legit thought for a second she was winning it. And then what a great finish is Roxy coming in to stop her pin by jumping over her into the jackknife, which was, again, a great way to steal that victory away from her.
Yeah, I thought Paxley definitely impressed. I think she's someone who's been in NXT a while now, but we've never really seen her in big featured matches. Like, the TV matches never get, unless you're in one of the main events, never gets a whole lot of time. We've seen her in tags with Ivy, but I feel this was the most we've really seen from her, and she really impressed, and she hung with these two. And I think these two are two of the best in the division. Roxanne is absolutely more than ready to move up at this point, but I think for now, until there's someone they're like ready to put the title on after her, have this heel run, which I think is working right now. But yeah, I thought this was a really hot opener. The crowd liked it. There was some really fun, innovative, like 3-way sequences, and the good stuff with triple threats is it just never really stops. It's just action, action, action.
Yeah, I thought the match was pretty fun, and I think Roxanne maybe having a few more cycles of maybe like the next defense, maybe dropping it back to Lyra before she leaves NXT. Because I do think it's time maybe she's in the draft. And she mentioned as soon as I get drafted, I'm dropping the title.
Dropping this title.
Yeah, you could do the trash bin thing with her, right? Like could be something, and then have a little bit of a tournament. But yeah, I'd say the story coming out of it is like, oh, Tatum Paxley. Okay, not the biggest fan of the crazy girl gimmick that you've been given, but you've kind of shown something here. I really think.
Yeah, and I'm getting more from this than I got from the Diamond Mine wannabe. Like
that was her thing before.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
So yeah, I enjoyed this.
She failed at MMA and then went crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds like a lot of people.
Yeah. We see a bunch of superstars on X hyping up the draft. Jade says she's watching the main event and seeing who's coming from that. You've got Waller and Theory giving their 2 cents, and then a bunch of different fans saying who they think is going to win between Ilja or Trick.
Trick Williams is going to win whether he likes it or not.
We have tweets from LA Knight, Rey Mysterio, Bobby Lashley, and then Jade finishes by saying, "Whoop that Trick." We go to the women's locker room where Thea Hale is talking to Fallon Henley and Kalani Jordan, and she's saying that she's going to handle JC Jane next week, and says she's happy that she's finally back on the same page with Chase U, and she's glad she has Kalani and Fallon on her side as friends. And we see Jaida Parker in the background just looking all pissed off. She gets up and says they're ridiculous, and says, "Oh, Fallon Henley, NXT's hero. You must be the most popular loner I've ever met." And then Fallon slaps her, and they start to brawl, and there's a big pull apart. So this sets up another match added to Spring Breakin tonight.
Wow. Yeah.
We go to a video package for, I believe, Tyson and Tyreek.
Yes, Tyson and Tyreek, almost like TNT here.
Yes.
New faces here.
So these guys have been on Level Up, and they said that it's like this vignette. They're walking on railway tracks, and it's like cutting between like stuff they've done on Level Up. They're two big lads, and we see them polishing up their Timberlands before they're going to boot people in the face.
Yeah, I'm rewatching it now. It's classic. Like, all right, let's find some cool places to shoot. All right, do the Lethal Weapon back to back. All right, Yep. All right, and we arrived next week. So, yeah, a new tag team. You've kind of said that they've been on Level Up. I am not familiar with them. I do recognize them from when they have been recently signed. So I'm wondering if we get a new tag team and see kind of what they got. And I gotta respect the Tims. So
yeah,
always got to keep your Tims looking clean. When they get just like that one thing on them, it annoys me so much because it's like it's Tims. They gotta look like good.
We see Julius and Brutus Creed with Ivy Nile, and they've come back to NXT to watch the main event. None of them can act still. But
I love them, but they still come across like, oh, hey.
They're just so dorky, aren't they?
We're dressed. Look how we're dressed today, but yeah. They're not wearing that gorilla shirt, right?
No. But Julius was wearing his glasses. I think the lens is like missing from the glass as well. Look like that kind of guy.
These guys are sweethearts.
They say they're here to watch Trick win. They're here to see Trick slay that dragon. And then they start to do the whoop that Trick dance. I can't wait to see these guys turn heel and join Gable because they fucking need it.
I was going to say that would be a way more interesting move for them right now, considering Gable. I mean, Gable has his two boys already and his gal.
Well, it's interesting because I feel they kind of distance Ivy from them a little bit on Raw. So having them back, I know this is NXT, but you could have all three of them. And I think Ivy has been tagging with Maxine. So you could have the three of them take out the rest of Alpha Academy to join Gable as a heel stable. And I think it would help all of them.
Gable's heel stable.
Yeah. I think it would help all of them as like a modern kind of team angle kind of thing. Would work really well.
Absolutely.
But, it just reminds me. I love these guys, but I'm just like, oh, please stop talking. Please.
I still thought that, like, I always thought that they came across like they were still young and learning and all that stuff. And I still think they are. But when it comes to the wrestling, like, yeah, man, they are beyond ready and amazing. And Gable, willing. whatever.
This had been rumored for quite a while, but it was confirmed earlier in the week that NXT Battleground going to take place at the UFC Apex in Vegas. So announcing it, which I haven't seen any of these shows from the Apex, but everything I've heard are like it's not the best atmosphere. It's kind of another just small studio
From
thing.
what I know, yeah, watching some stuff that my brothers showed me, especially during the pandemic, they would do these things where it's kind of like the WWE PC, where it's like just a little like soundstage they've created, like kind of like the CWC, whatever they call this, not full scale NXT arena, or kind of like just the NXT UK soundstage. Like you just put the octagon there, you put a few rows.
It's weird. Like obviously, there's the relationship with UFC now, but just, I mean, I know it was Mania weekend, but they sold a lot of tickets Mania weekend, and they have been for these other like shows they've been doing. And I think they originally announced it was going to be Savannah, Georgia in a actual arena. So I wonder what the thinking is, because you're going to get a different set of fans, but it's not going to be like much busier than this kind of show was tonight.
Okay, so it's Sunday, June 9th, Battleground in Las Vegas at this Apex. And it's a bit strange because we were at Stand and Deliver and we noticed that there was the biggest NXT crowd thus far, 17,000 people or almost, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I still thought like, do the people know? Some people know what this is. Some people just bought tickets. The vibe was like a little off. And then now you're telling me you're going to film a pay-per-view, go live or whatever. That's a way smaller thing in this thing. I'm like, I
wonder if it's more of like a experiment, that this is something they want to use, like whether it's NXT moves there permanently or they want to use it for other things. I don't know.
All right, if NXT moves to Vegas, we got to move to Vegas too then.
Yeah. I think I'd rather live in Florida. Ooh, no.
Take that back. there's look, I saw a news story.
I think I'd die in Vegas. The worst I'd do in Florida is go to Disney.
Sorry, a legit story I saw last week was a woman goes into her fucking kitchen and there was like an 8-foot long alligator, and she just went, oh, fucking Florida. Whereas Vegas, you don't know what could show up in your kitchen, I guess.
We go to our next match, the Family taking on the No Quarter Catch Crew. This is all over the failed payment of the hit on Drew Gulak.
Yeah, say what you want about pro wrestling, say what you want about NXT, but on this show, guys come out here and basically admit to paying people to murder other people.
Hey, you said you'd pay me for killing your friend, and you didn't pay me after I killed your friend. Guys, you're on TV.
Yeah. So the police do not watch NXT, because if they did, they may have found out what just happened.
Which also, wasn't that Luca Crucifino's advice to Dijak like just a month ago?
Like, stop.
He was like, you can't torture this guy. It's on TV. The police are going to arrest you. I'm your lawyer. I'm advising you against this.
Yeah, they're like, we don't want to pay you for that hit.
Yeah.
Which is a big no-no in the world of like you want to hire someone to kill someone and then not pay that person. You'd think that they may.
I would also think you do, half up front, half after the job.
Right. Yeah. So how it usually goes is you're not wearing a wire, right? Like, there's so much you could do with this stupid storyline that they decided to throw out there on TV last week. They just had to get some way to explain why Drew was off, and they decided to just say they killed him. And then now it's about payment. I think that is so funny, but it led to this match, which like, hey, do these guys need Drew Gulak? I don't know.
So it starts all six brawling. Charlie Dempsey gets D'Angelo in like a triangle hold, which D'Angelo one arm power bombs him out of, which was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
The family start to team up on Damon Kemp. There's a Kemp comes back with a takedown to Luca and is able to get the tag to Miles Bourne. Hits these big Bob Holly-esque drop kicks. All breaks down again, and all six are starting to brawl, and they spill to the outside. And Kemp hits a running somersault senton off the apron, taking everyone down. There's then a dropkick German suplex combo from Bourne and Kemp. And then the family make the hot tag to D'Angelo, who comes in hitting suplexes all over the place, a big spine buster. And then Luca and Stacks hit the Shatter Machine, and D'Angelo hits a big one-handed Ron Simmons-esque spine buster for the win on Charlie Dempsey.
It really was like it was a I'm thinking of Farouk.
Yeah.
Like the spine buster was
Ron
looked
Simmons.
exactly like it. It was huge. He stuffed him with it. Actually, there was some good wrestling.
I enjoyed this
for getting to the match because of a silly murder, but it had some good wrestling. Like what I've seen from Bourne and Kemp, like man, like they're so smooth and getting better and better at like using their actual athleticism and wrestling ability. Like they're coming into their own. Dempsey has been the same thing. He's been so impressive. What we have seen, what's been lacking, is like the character and the promo. And last week, unfortunately, he had to say that this whole killing thing, which didn't necessarily help. But then once you get to the wrestling, like they look all good.
And as gimmicky as the family is, I feel a lot of their wrestling is kind of amateur based as well. So I actually thought these 6 gelled pretty nicely. D'Angelo definitely shines best in a tag. I think his best work was when he was with Stacks in the tag over some of the single stuff I've seen.
Yeah.
And like here, I thought he was very impressive with the hot tag. So maybe that's more the role he should be doing, I think, at least for now, especially when you move them up to the main roster. I think maybe these would work better as like a trios or a tag rather than just D'Angelo on his own.
And I mean, maybe the same could be said about Dempsey leading the other 2.
Yeah.
Like, even though he's young like them, he could just take charge with. We don't need Drew in this thing anymore either. But yeah, actually was a bit surprised at some of the good wrestling from this. Like NXT, as much as like there's still some of the silliness, like waiting in the wings is a lot of dudes. Like I think back to that breakout tournament, there was a few guys that just haven't been on TV since, like that Tavion Heights guy. Like there's a lot like pure wrestlers that are like just chilling and don't really have anything. And that can be a problem too in WWE, where it's like too many of the same, like, oh, you're like an Olympian type wrestler. Whereas like Gable actually has the like, credibilities and stuff. And some of these guys do, but it can get like, well, what else can you do? Right. Like,
and that's why you get given a silly character sometimes.
Yeah.
It helps you.
It gives you like
through.
something.
Like giving Kurt Angle goofy stuff, like giving him a like little guitar and a little cowboy hat, like as you're
that
like
was just from his personal.
You're doing this to an Olympic athlete, but like it brought out the best of Kurt Angle, really.
Yeah.
I think.
So like either way, like both of these units have some good wrestlers, and like we've praised Stacks as well. So any of these guys could end up somewhere big down the line in not just NXT but WWE. Also, we talked about it last week, but the Shatter, they're just like, FTR do this move. Should we just do the Shatter Machine? And it's like, oh, all right, yeah. Like you could make something like what is? I think last week I asked like, what's the Italian equivalent of the Shatter? I still don't know the
what for a name.
Yeah, the Linguini Machine. That's the best I got. I think
you're going to be talking about ramen noodle moonsault soon, Jerry Lawler.
It's okay. It's okay if you say it about Italian people.
Okay. We see Baron Corbin being interviewed, and he asked if he knew what Braun was going to say after NXT the other week, when basically he signed off and said he's leaving. And Baron's like, no, I didn't. But to be honest, Braun never knows what he's going to say and just says things in the moment. And this is when Lexis King comes in with a gift basket and wishes him well on leaving NXT. And Corbin's like, but wait, I don't think I am leaving NXT. And Lexis makes fun of him, of Braun for moving up and Baron staying here. This leads to a match. They set up a match for later in the night. And Corbin calls him a tool bag.
So it sounded like Lexis King wanted to be partners with him.
Okay.
Right? Because he's like, hey, like,
oh, he's gone. Like I can step in.
You need someone like me to help you, like Braun did, to help you be relevant again.
Right.
Is what he was
Gotcha.
saying. And I mean, fast forward to after this match. I don't know. The Wolf Dogs may be over, but the Wolf Kings.
I hate that idea.
I'll tell you, I've watched NXT for a long time, way too fucking long now. And I'll tell you the God honest truth. When I saw the graphic for Baron Corbin and Lexis King, my eyes rolled so far back that they're still hurting. I think I groaned a total of 4 different times. First was when they did this segment And then they later said, "Hey, that match is happening later." And I went, "Holy fuck." And then Baron Corbin's entrance music hits, and I went, "Oh my god!" And then they went, "We're going to break." And then I forgot
because they go about 10 minutes showing you other stuff.
Yeah, somewhere Kevin Owens is like, "When am I wrestling?" And then it comes back from break, and I'm like, all right, sit back down on the couch. All right, what do we got here? Lexis Kings come out. David, you were laughing at me. You were like, "Oh man," I was like groaning and moaning so much, and it's Lexis.
All right, Mercedes.
It's Lexis King and Baron Corbin. So what was I saying earlier when it's like, what goes on NXT? It's like,
I don't know. They gifted us Von Wagner versus Lexis King the other week. And, well, we can't have that anymore. So here's Corbin.
The Wolf Kings.
The Wolf Kings. The tool bags. We go to our next match. Fallon Henley taking on Jaida Parker. Jaida drapes Fallon in the ropes and does a springboard butt sit on the ribs to take her out. Delivers some short arm clotheslines and then a bear hug. They start trading pin attempts. There's an abdominal stretch from Parker for quite a while, which Fallon slips out of and then traps the arms and delivers a headbutt and then a big forearm to the face. But then Jaida comes back with the teardrop hip check, the like running side hip attack to the face, and goes for the pin, and her legs kind of under the ropes. So Script's like, "Oi, get your legs from under the ropes." She's like, "Oh yeah," and then pins Fallon 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I like Booker T on commentary being like, "Oh, like she almost lost that because." Yeah. If your own legs,
you can't have any part views under the ropes, and you're technically out the ring.
Right. Yeah, you know what? I don't think Jaida Parker is too bad from what we've seen. I don't necessarily think the move is anything that even resembles a bump that would look like it's a finishing move of a match. And it's just unfortunate because I think Fallon Henley has been someone who's just been progressing and then put in this spot, and then progresses and then put back in the spot, and losing to a hip attack to the face like that is, I don't know. We've seen her do like a lot. I think she's kind of above this, and we've been pretty high on Fallon because you put her in the ring and she usually is like, you can see the difference between some of the people who've not been doing this and then her. And I didn't even necessarily even get that out of this match where, again, Jaida, she could go on to be something good, but I didn't really get that from watching this match.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think Jaida at the moment is pretty limited. Like, it was a lot of rest holds. The like hip attack thing doesn't look particularly spectacular. I think she's got personality, character, a good look, but the wrestling just hasn't hit like some of the other newer talents have so far. And Fallon is way too good to already be put in the Natalya position of just putting people over and being a good hand for people to work with.
Yeah.
I think she's got so much more to offer than that. And, you've got Rox as a heel champion right now. Fallon is someone I'd be heating up to chase for that. Yeah. And I think the crowd would get behind her. I think people do like Fallon. I think she's got a real like natural babyface charisma to her. And I think this was a mistake having her to lose to Parker right here.
Yeah, I think she could be someone you put in big PLE title matches within this year, within next year. Yeah. Like, she's definitely someone who could be NXT Women's Champ here, or that North American title. I know we're gonna have Julia coming in and stuff too, but she is someone that like I see things like, especially if you're kind of making her almost like the horse gimmick, top shelf, the bar, this and that, the country gal. She could be like NXT's Hangman, I like her theme song. It's good.
Fallon's, oh yeah, top shelf.
Yeah,
top shelf.
Good. But I was disappointed she lost.
We have a video from JC Jane who says she gave Thea Hale the road to success, and you'd realize that JC Jane always knows best. Hey, that rhymed. And asked if Thea fell and smacked her head because she should be thanking her, not trying to fight her. She says, "I took you under my wing and made you what you wanted to be, so you should be kissing the ground I walk on. You're an ungrateful little girl, and next week I will end you, and you will learn that gratitude isn't an option, but a debt you will repay to me."
Damn.
Yeah.
So we're going towards JC and Thea,
which for next week.
Yeah, that's a big grudge match.
Thea taps her out.
I think
Kimura.
So.
Yeah. We get a video of Natalya on the European tour, just showing all the cities she's been going to, beautiful cities like Birmingham. And then this kind of cuts in between Lola Vice, who's training in a gym, kicking bags. And Lola says, if you think you can go overseas and then waltz back into NXT in my domain, you have to think again because you're entering my world. And Natalya says, you claim that no one can fight like you, so now you show me what you're made of. And Lola says that she'll become a legend at Natalya's expense.
Yeah, I like that we're going towards this like underground thing, and I kind of enjoying even Natalya. This is the best stuff Natalya's done in easily quite a while. She's not even wrestling it for the right now. So yeah, I like that. It's kind of like, look, Natalya's on tour. She's a big star, and yet she's having this match with you.
I like that they're referencing this tour as well, like Cody Rhodes, on SmackDown, even though the time didn't make sense because it would have been taped like 5 hours before.
Right.
But like coming out and oh, AJ Styles won the match, eh? Okay. Like, I like that when things happen on house shows and you treat it like it's a real thing,
Yeah.
We see JD McBighead backstage, and he is there to watch the main event tonight. McDonough says he has a lot of history with Ilja, and if you want to beat Ilja, you have to hospitalize him.
Jeez.
And Trick isn't that guy, which, I think in NXT UK, Ilja vacated the title after getting injured in a match with McDonough, right? And then they continued the feud in NXT.
Yeah, they had some pretty good matches.
We go to and then after that, Tyler Bate shows up with Pete Dunne, and Bate says that he can't wait for the main event. They're going to smash the spuds out of each other, and Dunne says Ilja is a bad man, so his money's on him.
Yeah. And is this when he like walked away?
Yeah.
And Tyler's like, wait, all right.
We go to the contract signing for NXT Underground, and even for a contract signing, you take the ropes down if it's underground.
Yeah, wow. Like, this must have sucked for the ring crew. Yeah. They're like, you're just putting them back on?
Yeah.
All right.
They've got people surrounding the ring who are like banging on the mat. And Ava says that they're breaking the glass ceiling in NXT because they're making history with it being the first women's underground match. Natalya comes out with Carmen Petrovic, and Natalya signs right away. And
yeah, okay, Natalya. And I'm not saying I'm not guilty of this when it's like, hey, update your iPhone, read this. It's like, she didn't even glance at it. Ava is like, Natalya, sign this. Natalya, sign this. And Natalya's like, oh yeah, cool.
Yeah.
It's like, she's not, the other girl's not even out here yet.
Check the small print. Lola Vice comes out, and Natalya asks who's in her corner. And Lola says, you seem more worried about who's in my corner than what I'm going to do to you. And just because I shake my ass does not mean I can't kick your ass.
What a line. She's got to put that on a t-shirt.
I'll shake my ass and kick your ass.
Shaking ass and kicking ass.
She says, next week we'll be making history and I will break you. And Lola signs. Natalya says, I knew you had an ego and I wanted to put you in check. And the difference is I respect that you come from the cage and I respect your background. But you don't respect that I'm from the dungeon. And I respect everyone from past to the present to the future. And I'm going to beat some respect into you. Natalya says, I want you to bring everything you have because I'm going to tap your ass out. And Lola says, you can try, but your fate is in my hands. I have the fastest hands in the division. And my training partner will make them even faster. And out comes the Queen of Spades, Shayna Baszler.
Yes.
Submission magician.
Yes.
So Natalya's former tag partner as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's right.
I think everyone's Natalya's former tag partners. Like,
the
whole roster.
I'm not going to lie. I was like, were they?
Yeah.
I think I've even watched them wrestle as a tag team. But I'm like, yeah, sure.
She says that Shayna says Natalya's chances have gone from slim to none. And the toughest woman in NXT has joined the baddest woman in WWE, and tells Natty that she might as well tear up the contract now, especially if this is your training partner. And Shayna shoves Carmen Petrovic, and Petrovic comes back with a huge roundhouse kick to the head. They all start to brawl, And then Natalya throws Lola out the ring on top of all the people at ringside.
This was pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
You know what? Everybody always gives Natalya crap when it comes to her acting, but I thought a specific line, a few lines in this I really liked, but even basically saying like, look, next week we're going to have a fight. And even if I don't win, I'm definitely going to like, you might be the future of WWE, and win or lose, I'm going to like put respect and beat it into you, which is basically what the match is going to be. Is there's going to be some good stuff, and then Natty's going to jump.
They need to bleed.
Wow.
Let's get
I don't know
vicious
about that.
here. Yeah.
But I thought this was great. And you know what? I even popped for when Shayna shoved Carmen. It felt like one of those like fight pressers where they're trying to like the weigh-ins or the face-to-faces. And then Carmen just being like, nah, fuck you. And roundhouse kicks her.
Well, I assume we'll get that down the line now.
It was very unexpected to
Yep.
see that. So I'm really liking Carmen Petrovic a whole lot. And can't wait to see this match next week with Shayna in one corner and Carmen in the other.
They've done a good job with NXT. Like Raw Underground was a bust, but I think the 2 Underground matches we've had so far in NXT have been pretty good. So I hope this lives up to it. And
Bloodsport.
I do see Lola winning, though. I
Kumite.
think she should win.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And this should be her thing moving forward. Like her stipulation is this.
And then we'll get the Lions Den match.
Yeah.
All that.
Dijak was calling for that on Twitter earlier.
Book it.
Yeah.
I thought this segment surprised me. So I'm looking forward to next week.
We get an earlier today where we see Ridge Holland in the parking lot, and he says it's time to start racking up those wins. The guy that retired like 2 weeks ago.
I was going to say, man, did you retire and then I had to watch you wrestle again?
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Sean Spears approaches him and says, you need to embrace what's going on inside you. We both know you want to give into those thoughts, so let them out. And Ridge says, I know what you're trying to do, and you can't rile me up. I'll be seeing ya. Yeah.
So this feud continues.
So
So you're telling me that Sean Spears during the day walks around wearing that vest?
all the time. Yeah.
In any cutscenes,
Yeah.
he's walking around wearing that vest.
It has been reported that Sean Spears has started doing producing backstage at NXT as well, which I think when he came in, we were like, I assume he's going to be a player coach kind of role, and seems they're going that way with him.
I'm pretty sure I saw some people reporting it was probably Fightful saying the same thing about Robert Stone, Mr. Stone, considering he was not released. It was Von Wagner that was released. So maybe if Von didn't cheap out on those brownies that one night, maybe if he didn't eat half of them, still have a job.
If he didn't like that pasta with those silly little sausages that his wife makes.
Let's just like quickly
reminisce.
Man, what are we going to make fun of when we don't talk about Von Wagner going to dinner with Robert Stone's kids or
drinking beer with Kyle O'Reilly
in the woods? Weirdly, that was my favorite one.
Oh, Von.
You're out there.
Yeah.
You're out there too. Real ones weren't there. I mean, real ones were there, but yeah, I don't know how we got on that.
We get a video from the Final Testament, and Karrion Kross starts off and says, I'm the former 2-time NXT champion, letting you know that we're going back to the good old days. This whole video, it's like flashing static and stuff. There's words flashing, black and gold even flashed on the screen as he's saying this.
Yeah, he's trying to let us know that, hey, I was champion
twice.
Yeah. And I went, oh,
yeah. He promises destruction, and they say that they're going for all the gold. So Kross alluding to going for the NXT, threatening us that he's going for the NXT championship.
My eyes can't roll any more back today, but oh boy.
Ellering wearing some nice little round black sunglasses and his tight leather pants.
We talked about the Lenny Kravitz comparison last week, but
he goes to the gym in this, yeah.
This guy in the gym wearing these things? Yes.
Ellering says that Authors of Pain are going for the tag titles, and Kross obviously going for the NXT championship. I'll reiterate, Authors of Pain impressed me last week. I think them against Axiom and Fraser could be pretty fun. Beyond zero interest in Karrion Kross chasing for the title. And I guess we're getting Trick and Kross down the line.
Yeah, I really can't care for any of that, to be honest. You know what? Authors of Pain versus Axiom and Fraser, which the video was showing, like that match for next week. So that could be pretty good. But man, I just do not need to see Karrion Kross going for any titles here, anywhere really. But
yeah, we see Axiom and Frazier in the locker room who've been watching this, and they say, back to the good old days, huh? Destruction, huh? Well, they're monsters, but I don't care. They're coming after our titles, and we will find a way, one way or another, to beat them. And then Malik Blade says that he's sick of people like them keep on coming down to NXT and like taking these spots, as Gallows and Anderson walk in, and Gallows is like, yeah, I'm fed up with all these people coming to NXT and going for the tag titles. When's our chance? I thought it was quite funny.
That was primo. Yeah, that was pretty funny. They knew what to say there.
Idris gets riled up and accidentally knocks over a mirror, smashing it. So we're kind of continuing this thing with Idris and Malik, that they've got bad juju, that they've got bad luck.
Yeah, I'll be Malik and Idris defenders, but that's not good. This wasn't good. Like, how was Luke Gallows better in this promo than you were in this? I don't like that. That's where it's going, because we've seen that in wrestling in WWE where he's on a losing streak. These guys are good, and it was so awkward that I believe that he was like, I messed this up, because it just looked like he didn't know what he was saying. But
I'll see where they go with this bad luck thing, because I think doing something like that, at least it tends to mean we've got an end goal, which is you eventually winning, and rather than just like randomly losing
and going to the
all
gym
the time, like I think have it as a bit of a story. Maybe they need to, see the witches, bring the witches back and break the curse. Have a spell cast.
Currently, our witch isn't a witch. Tatum Paxley is not witchy.
No, I was talking about the
actual witches,
like what's it and who's a face?
The witches.
Yeah, the witches.
The British witches, the Irish witches, the Scottish witches. One of them's Scottish, one of them's Irish.
Yeah, I can't remember their names.
Gun to your head right now. What are their names?
Fuck. Alba Fire and
shit.
What's her name? Isla Dawn. Yeah, like have a segment with them and be
really
like,
happy you did. I was like, yo, what's
burn some juniper or whatever it is and get rid of this curse.
I like these guys, but
they're both Scottish. Yeah.
Who, Idris and Malik?
Yeah, sure. All right, let's move on from them. Okay, we go to our beach brawl match.
Yes.
Sol Ruca, who we saw earlier in the day carrying a surfboard to the arena.
The little things add, and like she's going to a beach brawl and she's showing up with a surfboard. Yes.
Taking on Blair Davenport,
who shows up with a boogie board. And let me tell you, I can't surf. Brady don't surf, but you put a surfboard against a boogie board, the surfboard is going to win this sword fight, because look at the size difference and the material.
True, but it's harder to swing, right? Something shorter, you can swing a bit easier, but it is also made of foam compared to wood.
As much as I'm making fun of this boogie board, I will say that if they sold this NXT boogie board, I might buy it. It was pretty, considering the finish happens with a move being executed onto the boogie board, which would just give you more padding.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
So we've got, all the NXT plunder around. There's a picnic table. There's lots of inflatable beach balls, inflatable ball pools,
Shotzi's
lots
ball
of things
pit
that don't look very painful whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they start by whacking each other with their surfboards.
Surfboard.
Sol gets a rubber ring and puts it over, like traps Blair, so her arms are trapped, so she can't move.
Tubing.
And then starts throwing like footballs at her. Terrible. Sets up a wooden picnic bench by the apron, but Blair counters and throws Sol into the bench. They start fighting up towards the ramp area, where Sol Ruca hits an X Factor onto the inflatable ball pool. During commercial,
that was pretty good. It looked so silly, but the way it turned into that move that sent her into that ball pit was pretty creative.
She then kind of traps her under the ball pit with a surfboard and is like standing on top of it, riding it. Back in the ring, Ruca hits a standing moonsault holding the boogie board, but doesn't land the boogie board on her at all. It's just like holding it.
Like she should have had it like a chair.
Yeah, like on her chest to like land on her.
I thought this was so silly and so fun, but the one thing it was missing was the Van Daminator or the Van Terminator, but with like
With
the
a
boogie
surfboard,
board or
yeah.
surfboard. Yeah.
Soul then has Blair in like a fireman's carry position and spins her into a power bomb, which looked pretty impressive.
Really cool.
Goes for the Soul Snatcher, but gets German suplexed off the second rope. They're fighting at ringside, and Soul goes for her cartwheel DDT on the barricade, but gets pushed off. And then they're fighting up on like this barricade area, and Soul gets Blair on her back, like in a backpack position.
Yeah.
And jumps backwards through a table, and then rolls Blair into the ring and hits a variation of the Soul Snatcher, springboarding off the second rope. And
yeah, usually she does it like in the corner, and then like uses that. But this was like just using the ropes, running against the ropes, and I can't even in my brain figure out how you do that. You jump, you go to moonsault, and then catch them with the. I don't even know how she does it, but it's incredible. It's so awesome, and as a wrestling finishing move, it's very like stimulating to see someone hit that because it's like, wait, how did you do that? And it's a great finisher.
Yeah. I didn't really like this match. I hate when you give people that don't like wrestling the opportunity to watch something and be like, it's fake, right?
Right.
Like, and this just inflatable blow up balls as weapons and ball pits, and it's just a bit hokey.
I think I liked it more than I should have, because I think maybe the later stretch of it picked up.
When they were actually just doing wrestling stuff, it was fine.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think you could have more fun, like have, sand, maybe, like stuff like
Pocket
that,
sand.
Throwing sand in the eyes. And I don't know. I think you could be more creative than just like this half-assed attempt at a beach, which,
okay, so it's like Blair shows up to wrestle and Soul's like, no, we're not doing this here. We're doing it at the beach.
Yeah.
And like you just fight at the beach.
Yeah.
Like that could be, you'd put a ring on maybe that's just too.
Like where were the shovels?
Where were the sharks?
Yeah.
Where were anything beach related? You know what? I think I liked this a bit more than I did, but you're right. Like when it came to the last bits of it, the crazy spot through the table, that was pretty nuts.
Yeah. But
some of the stuff earlier, it's definitely the same old like NXT Funhouse match, like the same formula.
It's all plastic stuff that just doesn't
like it was supposed to be hokey and funny on purpose, but yeah. I love
this feud hasn't like, this isn't when you're doing the Thanksgiving match and it's two comedy characters doing it on Raw. Like this is an actual serious like blood feud that they're having, and you're putting a rubber dinghy around. It was
just a day at the beach
over her head.
Yeah.
It was just a bit. Didn't do it for me.
Okay, but then let's talk about how it's just every North American crowd that should we chant for Soul Ruca? Yeah. How should we do it? I don't know. Have you ever chanted in the form of Seven Nation Army?
Like how? Like it's a stretch. So like come on.
You didn't even. Okay, yeah. We were going off a few weeks ago about the crowd at Windy City Riot chanting, "Oh, cry me a river," when we're like, there's a legit song called "Cry Me a River." For Soul Ruca, you could go, "Hey, Soul Ruca," the Soul Sister, whatever. There's a few other.
Just I don't know. Listen to some music outside of downstate and like all of that, guys.
There's so many soul. She's funk soul brother, funk soul sister.
Ruca.
Yeah. Like man,
check it out now.
Yeah,
the funk soul Ruca. Check it out now. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Right. So like, stop. First of all, is it Seven?
No, but you know what you could do? Soul Ruca. Or
same chant.
So Ruca. That would be way better.
I know it's just the NXT crowd, but it is everywhere else. That it's always
it's grating.
Now, is it Did Seven Nation Army come first, or did what's the other one? Because it's very similar. Like
what? Zombie Nation?
Yeah,
I know. I heard that a lot when Boston were just killing the Leafs the other day.
Right.
Yeah. Their like victory song. Yeah.
We'll continue to be on this fight to get people to chant. Just
learn new music, people.
Outside of just Seven Nation Army.
Yes. We see Trick Williams backstage on the phone to his mama, and she tells him to whoop that trick tonight. And he says, "I love you, mama." It was sweet. It was nice. Then Johnny Gargano walks
And then
in
Daddy comes in.
and he says, I love this place. Yeah, we know you do, Johnny.
Johnny's the only guy being like, yo, you think they'll draft me back?
and like Trick's like, tonight I've got a lot of pressure. I'm against a man I've never beaten. And Johnny says, yeah, but no pressure, no diamonds. And you need to take that loss. You need to take that pain and betrayal and use it. And it's not a burden. It's a superpower. And it's made you, and you are Trick Williams. And Ilja hasn't beaten that Trick Williams. So are you willing to use all that and slay the mad dragon? Whoop that Trick.
I thought that was great. I thought giving Johnny being the best NXT, I guess.
The ultimate betrayed by his best friend NXT.
Yeah, the
guy.
Ultimate good guy baby face here in NXT. And like you said, really loves NXT so much that he comes back a lot. And I thought it was a good heartfelt, pressure makes diamonds kind of thing. And I also thought he had a great outfit because he had his DIY DX shirt matching his lime green shoes.
I really want them to get away from that.
It's basically this, it's the only thing we got going.
Yeah.
So.
We see the metaphor on TikTok. This was kind of weird and unnecessary this week. They're driving in the car breaks down. The boys try and fix the car. They can't. The girls fix the car.
The one thing that made me laugh was she's like, and then the boys fix the car, and they're trying, and then it goes, no, they didn't. We did, and then it cuts, and she goes, meta girls stay up. So I enjoyed that.
Then they're all sleeping as Lash is driving the car, and she slams the brakes to wake them up. It was hilarious. Baron Corbin versus Lexis King.
Oh, for fuck's sake! No,
we get Let's Go Corbin chants to the Tune of Seven Nation Army.
Legit, there were Let's Go Corbin.
There were Corbin chants. We get shoulder tackles from Corbin.
Of course, we did.
And then Lexis King hits this low drop kick to the knees, and Vic is saying, It's not like the prettiest drop kick like we saw by Miles Bourne, but it's effective because he went low. And Booker's like, shut up, Vic. He went low. He's taking him off his legs. And he's like, Book, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Don't tell me what I'm saying. And they're going back and forth. And Vic tells him to eat candy and shut the fuck up, basically.
And then Booker's like, oh, you think you're hard, huh? You think you're hard?
You want to go? You want to do this?
What the fuck's going on? Booker's really defending Lexis. Booker must have walked in today for the show, and Lexis King went right up to him and shook his hand, and Booker's like, this guy's great.
Booker's like, Will Ospreay? Nah. Lexis King?
Fuck yeah.
That's the guy.
So apparently Booker just loves Lexis King. It's like he trained. Oh, I know why. He's announced for the next reality of wrestling show.
Lexis King.
Well, he needs to learn how to wrestle somewhere.
Yeah.
So.
Lexis hits the shitty blade to the back of the head.
The shitty blade?
Yeah. Another drop kick, but Corbin comes back immediately with a big lariat. King tries to do the dirty pin with his feet on the ropes, but the ref catches it. There's the Death Valley driver from Corbin for a 2 count, and then King shoves Corbin into the ref, hits the low blow, and hits the coronation for the win.
As you looked over to me watching this today, you were like, come on. Corbin's not going to lose to... Oh, he just lost.
I was like, Corbin better win this.
Yeah, this match happened. Look, I like how Corbin used to tag with Braun Breaker, so he picked up some of his moves. He does the suplex into the cutter kind of thing. Not as nice as Braun does it, but it's still kind of nice. This match was definitely we were talking about Ospreay and Danielson and how much of it was such a big dream match. You wanted to see what is the complete opposite of that? Was this graphic popping up? But did they stick up the joint? Yeah. Was it the worst thing I've ever seen? No. But no. I'm legit assuming they join up as a team.
I hope not. I thought Corbin got something from the Wolf Dogs run, and I'd like to see him continue that. I don't think he's bad in ring. I think he has been dull, very dull in the past, but there is stuff I like with Corbin, and I think he shone in the latest run. King, I'm not seeing it at all. They're very hot and cold with his wins and losses as well. He'll go weeks just losing, and then he'll win a few. He hasn't moved in any direction on this roster so far, and I really dislike his wrestling. I
really can't like.
I don't think even the little he does, I don't think he does well. So yeah, it's not hitting. It's going to take a lot for me to turn the corner on him, but maybe it'll happen. But I don't know.
Maybe he brings back the flying clothesline.
You have to be a baby face.
His facial hair was getting more ridiculous today. He got like more Jeff Hardy today. It was like a drawn on, like weird shape.
Yeah, maybe spend more time in the PC than at the barbers.
I think so.
You know?
Yeah, he's definitely one of the least entertaining wrestlers to watch.
We then see Ilja Dragunov heading to the ring, and he's stopped by Sarah Schreiber. And Ilja says he has Trick's respect, but all he has in his life is his family and his championship. And then Damian Priest shows up with the World Championship and says that he'll be watching. And Ilja goes to the ring, and Priest turns to Sarah Schreiber as we cut away, and you just hear him go, "How you doing?"
How you doing?
He knows we're doing the Friends show this week.
Yeah, clearly Damian Priest is a Joey.
Yeah. And then we cut to Trick Williams, who's coming to the ring, interviewed by Byron Saxton. And he says, like, look, I'm leaving it all out there, right or wrong. And this might be my last NXT match. But as my mama said, let's whoop that Trick. And Trick Williams gets the walking through gorilla one-take camera shot on NXT this week.
Yeah, I love this shot here where like his theme music is one of the most infectious earworms that you hear, because without even hearing it with Booker T's ad-libs, you just hear it with Booker T's ad-libs.
Yeah.
And him coming out through gorilla, just getting real hyped is great to everyone kind of singing along there. So again, Trick, I love this entrance. This whole episode, say what you will about some of the other stuff, but it did such a good job of trying to make this main event feel pretty special and pretty big. And I thought the entrances alone made it feel special and different. And like you said, kind of what they've been doing on the main roster with a lot of the Sami Zayn stuff and Jay Uso, where it's like following. And I thought that already made it seem different and bigger and more important.
So both go at it hot right away. There's big kicks from Dragunov, a huge slap across the face, and then just the dirty Dragunov chops. Trick then catches the arm and delivers a headbutt and starts punching. Ilja goes for the flapjack, but this gets countered into a DDT. And then Ilja hits the Constantine special, but Trick kicks out. They then sort of have a little slap of the hands, sign of respect, and Ilja hugs him. And it's kind of been almost like the Judas kiss, like the I'm now going to kill you hug.
Yeah, they hug and then right away just start fighting.
Start going crazy. There's a big knee from Ilja. Ilja then goes for a sunset flip off the top. And it looks tries to sunset flip powerbomb Trick off the top, and Trick lands kind of awkwardly on Ilja's head here.
Yeah,
which rocks them both.
You could see that maybe this one of them wasn't clued in on what the other was thinking here, and it looked like as if he just sat on his face inadvertently.
But in a way, this just like fires Ilja up even more.
Yeah,
starts booting him in the face, delivers this dirty powerbomb.
He does connect with the powerbomb right after, so it does make me think he was trying to legit do that.
A face wash in the corner, followed by a coast to coast. And then Trick comes back with a powerbomb of his own. And then Trick Williams delivers the H-bomb to Ilja.
Yeah, sorry. I think he hits the torpedo Moscow first. Which
he does the H-bomb, then the torpedo Moscow.
He's just hitting he hits his powerbomb, his H-bomb, his torpedo, like all of these moves.
And Ilja kicks out. There's then the Death Valley driver from Ilja to Trick in the corner. Which just looked dirty. Ilja then clears the announce table, but Trick starts to fight back, and they're fighting on the barricade, and Trick hits the bookend off the barricade through the announce table. They get back in the ring, and Ilja fights back, deadlift suplexes Trick into the ring, and delivers his own H-bomb, climbs the top, and delivers a super H-bomb, but Trick kicks out. Ilja then goes up the top again and delivers one more super H-bomb, but this time it kind of hurts his arm, his wrist, and he's selling that, can't make the cover right away, drags himself over to Trick, 1, 2, and Williams kicks out, There's then these big whoop that Trick chants growing and growing. Trick comes back with a knee to the back of the head, and then both are in their respective corners, and they charge, and Trick connects with the Trick knee and wins the NXT title.
And that's all it is, and it's all it's ever gonna be. Yeah, they did their Ospreay Danielson stare down.
To be fair, it's what Trick did with Mello,
right?
So maybe Ospreay and Danielson did Trick and Mello.
Hey, no, we've seen it in a bunch of wrestling matches, and it works so well. Legit, the only slip up in this match was that sunset bomb, and that still was great. Look, Ilja Dragunov is just insane, and his matches compared to the match we watched 5 minutes before this, where a guy spends like minutes of our life doing nothing except headlocks and drop kicks to the knee. Whereas this guy, the second this bell rings, every second counts in one of these guys' matches. And we always say that when someone wrestles a Dragunov style match, they have to wrestle his style because it's the only way this guy wrestles, or else you just get murdered. And that's exactly what Trick did. And then in this one, Trick even was like, well, I know your moves hurt, so I'm just going to do all your moves to up you and fight your style. And in the end, helped him win this thing. So, yeah, this was crazy. It didn't even feel like it was that long of a match, but I much preferred this match over both of their respective matches at Stand and Deliver, right? Like, so, and that's saying something. We were at that show, and this one, even at home, like, it just felt like this should have just been that pay-per-view match.
I think sometimes you feel like on NXT TV, they pretty much have the same length given to every like main event opening match. Like, it doesn't go too long. It's like 2 segments. And a lot of the time you watch and feel a little shortchanged. You're like, oh, that was cool. I can't wait for the like PLE version of it where they get a bit more time. But I think there's something with Ilja's style where it not being a long match and just being a sprint makes complete sense. Like, almost reminds me of, remember the Punk Eddie Kingston match where they just went all guns blazing, was like under 10 minutes, I think. And almost like the end of that UFC fight recently, which was like, oh, fuck it. It's last 30 seconds. Let's go and throw everything. You can't work at that pace for 30 minutes. And it makes sense. Eventually someone's going to be defeated. And I just thought it meant it was just this real, like, relentless, exciting, like, hard striking match between the two of them. And I thought really worked well. They've got a really unique chemistry. Like, you can't really imagine these guys hanging out outside of here, but I believe their chemistry in NXT over the last year, the story they've been doing between the two of them, going way back from when Ilja was feuding with Mello for the title.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's been built really nicely and was a great passing of the torch moment. Ilja, hugging Trick after.
Yeah, I mean, great
and
ending.
Then giving him the ring. Like,
so he pretends at first he's angry. Classic wrestling where he grabs the belt away from the ref and he's like, no, I want to give it to him. And then he hugs him and whispers something. And like, you know what? The story of Ilja from the past year has been telling Trick, like, you're getting there. You're getting there. Look at you. You're getting there. You're not quite good enough to beat me yet, but maybe one day you might. It finally happened here on NXT. I'd imagine Ilja is done with NXT after something like this. Again, man, like, this guy should be one of the best characters going. Like, I can't wait to see if he's making people step up in NXT to do these kinds of things. People on the main roster are going to have to fucking put their boots on to wrestle this guy.
He's someone I'm wondering whether, with Vinci being kicked out of Imperium, does he join Imperium to eventually get to Gunther v. Ilja?
Okay.
Like, a way for him to introduce him as part of like an upgraded Imperium with, like, because he grew up in like, he's Russian, but he grew up in Germany as well. Like, he's got that connection.
Sure.
I'm like wondering if that's a way we can get to Gunther and Ilja down the line.
But this was great, man. I kind of said already, like, Stand and Deliver, it felt like a fake NXT show to me almost. It's like, yeah, you sold 17,000 almost tickets, but the build to it didn't feel really that like, something wasn't there. And the matches were just like, yeah, they were all right. This should have been the story. This should have been the story from the get-go. They should have had Trick and Mello somehow face before that and then get to this or the triple threat. I don't know, but this was the real story
Yeah.
that we got to. This kind of overshadowed the Mello and Trick story. As good as that story is, it kind of is like, well, we want to see Trick get the big one, and he beat Mello, but he didn't win the title. And this felt like the final, finishing the story kind of segment for Trick in NXT, when really it's just kind of starting him, because if we lose Ilja, if we lose Mello and all these people, Trick now is the champion. He is going to have to be the face of this, and he's going to put in the work even more so. But you know what? I thought he really stepped up in this match. Trick has been someone from day one who will say all the time that we were like, who the hell is this guy? What is going on? But his gift of gab is what definitely, I think, I mean, looking at him too, he's jacked and tall and huge and good looking. But right away we were like, and he just kept getting better and better. And like we talk about certain people that we've watched who don't. And then what happened? They get cut, they get whatever. Trick, I still think maybe there's like room for the actual wrestling, but you go in and have main event title matches with someone like Ilja here, who you definitely impressed me and came out of this being like, wow, that was way better.
I mean, that's the test, isn't it? It's having these matches not against an Ilja Dragunov well, which
he's got everything though.
He does. He does.
Got the steez, he's got the swagger, he's got it all.
I really enjoyed this week's NXT. I thought the main event was excellent, like really solid main event with a real feel good ending. I really enjoyed the women's triple threat at the start of the show, and I actually thought the 6-man tag was pretty fun as well. I thought last week's was good as well, so we'll see if next week kind of carries on this momentum, where we've got the Obafemi versus Ivar. I'm kind of looking forward to that.
Yeah, I mean, this was night one and it was pretty good. But next week we got Oba v Ivar. We got Axiom and Nathan Frazier versus the Authors of Pain.
Okay.
We got the debut of the TNT tag team, the Tims. We got the underground match, Natalya versus Lola, and then we got JC Jane and Thea Hale, and I'm sure they'll add some more things in there as well. So that's what we're looking for week 2 of Spring Breakin. But yeah, you know what? I enjoyed this week from the actual wrestling standpoint. There was a lot of good stuff on the card, and I even like some of the stuff that's hyping up next week. So I'd say some thumbs up from me for this week's episode, even considering it had Baron Corbin and Lexis King on this show.
Yes.
Wow.
We have some feedback over on the Poisonrana Facebook group. If you haven't joined it yet, why not? Get on there.
Search Poisonrana in your Facebook. There's a page, but there's also a group. Join it.
And we start with Morgan, who says, Bron and Mello were looked at as the top 2 guys when the 2.0 era started. Trick was the Robin to Mello's Batman. These last 8 months saw him go from Robin to Nightwing, and he's the new NXT champion. The camera shaking made this title change feel next level. As for Ilja Dragunov, what's left to be said that hasn't been said? He's top 10 in the biz, and he's not number 10. So he's number 9. He can move on to potentially bigger and better things. Strong show with plenty of surprise cameos. Who knows what NXT will look like when the draft is over. Part 2 has its work cut out for it to match Part 1. Tatum Paxley stole the triple threat. She broke out in a big way. Suck it, Meltzer.
I wasn't going to say it, but I thought she had a little bit of a fire under her today as well. Thank you, Megan. We go to Lincoln Loud, who writes in, Moose in TNA, Swerve in AEW, and now Trick Williams in WWE. You know what they all have in common? They all just won their company's top belt. Black excellence is shining at its finest. Look at that. Swerve, Trick, Moose.
Willow.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. Excellent. I didn't even think of that. Fantastic.
And we go to Fire Frank, who says, from that first episode of 2.0 that left us scratching our heads to tonight having the CWC rocking and shaking and Booker losing his mind, Trick is a true success story of this era of NXT. And it'll be remembered that this trilogy he had with Ilja was what truly got him to that level. Loved the callback to his Vengeance Day finish. Was it the best of the 3? I don't know, but that was a one heck of a TV main event. Enjoyed the main roster integration tonight, really putting this match over as a big, important thing. And in the end, it felt like a major moment. Sure, we'd have liked it all at the PLE, but to happen where it all started was some kind of poetry. As for the rest of the show, the women's title triple threat opener was pretty great, with Paxley getting a lot of shine. I also thought the 6-man tag with the family and Catch Crew was a lot of fun. And Soul looked great against Blair, especially that sick soul snatcher to end it. Tonight felt like the special episode it was promoted as. The draft should prove very interesting, but one more, oh yeah, man, for the road. Whoop that trick.
Thank you, Frank. Very well put. And then finally, Giancarlo writes in, rest in peace, come Tuesday.
Come Tuesday.
Yeah. Come Tuesday.
Yeah.
Rip. Thank you, everyone, for writing in. And thank you, everyone, in the YouTube chat here on the Post Wrestling YouTube. Appreciate it. We go live every Tuesday night after NXT at 10:15 p.m. Eastern Time. So, yes, next week, Spring Break continues as we will be donning our maybe different Hawaiian shirts. So please wear your Hawaiian shirts next week. We're going to be Spring Breakin', and we're going to do it all over again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So search Poisonrana in your podcast app or on social media at Poisonrana Pod, and check out all the other shows that we do, including our patreon.com/Poisonrana. For $5, you get access to all the other shows that we do, movie reviews, wrestling reviews, and it's how we keep the lights on here. So we will talk to you soon. Are we live on Sunday with Poisonrana?
We are indeed.
So we'll be chatting about some WWE, some AEW, some New Japan, and beyond. So appreciate everyone out there for all the love and the support. And yeah,
Toodle pip.
Catch you on the flip side. So that's it. That's all. Take care. Goodbye. Be safe. And one last time, pour one out for Big Bad Von.
Ahoy!
First time in a long time, but back like I never left. Taking each day as it comes, you know me, I don't read ahead. Watch me burn down everything, BDE on the TV set. When I'm in control on the road, you can never really know what's up next.